It's just when I look back, I'm like, I was so scared, and for what? I'm gonna do what I've been doing. I'm gonna keep showing up for myself, my clients. I've just been blessed with my books are full and busy.
You have to put yourself in a position where what you're asking for is so big that when you get it, it can only be God. Like, you know it's not you. Like, you have to give him the glory and give him the credit. Welcome to the Nurse Boss Shift. It's your girl, Dr. Kiiyonna Jones, and today we are live on set with my girl, Alexandria Stevens, and we're actually in Ohio, you guys. It is me. My business bestie is not here, but she sends her well wishes. But we are going to interview Alex, who is also a nurse entrepreneur and who has an amazing journey on how she got here to exactly where we are. So we are in her location, close to Cincinnati, Ohio. Y'all know I don't know. I just get on planes and take Uber where I need to get. But we are here and I am excited about this interview. It was actually, Alex, about April of 2024, maybe even March. I said to my team, I need to get out and get on planes and interview some of my alum. I've been doing a lot of interviews with my new graduates, but I wanted to highlight some of my alum who are crushing it out here, and you were definitely the first person that came to mind. So before we get into details and talking about all the things that you are doing and you have going on, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, about your nursing background, and also about your business?
So my name is Alex Stevens. I have been a nurse for 5 years. I have over 10 years of healthcare experience. I started as a dietary aide in the nursing home and then worked up to an STNA and became a medical assistant. Now I'm a nurse and I'm in F&P school. But yeah, so basically that's pretty much it about my background.
Alex is one, if you've ever attended my webinar, I talk about you on my webinar.
Oh, yay! I made it.
Alex, yeah. I highlight you because your story is like so impactful and I think relatable to the average like nurse. It's like, I don't know, did you know anything about aesthetics when you and I first met at all, right?
I used to think Botox would make you look crazy, filler made you look crazy. Okay. Like, I used to be against that stuff. Not really against it, but I just didn't understand it.
And to me, the way you took off, I would have assumed that you had some kind of idea that you wanted to enter into this space. But when I think about our conversation, I can vividly remember me doing my workshop. By the way, we met at Six Figure Travel Nurses Week. Shout out to Sarah Gaines. And I remember doing the workshop. You were looking at me so intensely as I was sharing this. And then you didn't ask any questions until it was like the workshops were all over. We were going to everyone's little like huts, right? Little canopies. And then you came up to me, he was like, so I can really do this? And I'm like, yeah. And so in that moment, I realized like, this probably hadn't been on your radar, but it had just now been introduced. And so what was your process after that? Why? Most people will say, okay, she's talked about this, but of course she can because of this, or I can't because of that. Right. What was your process after that moment? Like, would you say?
So, well, back up a little bit. Before I went on that trip, I was torn because I'm like, should I go? I had been fed up with bedside. And also I was a travel nurse. I met Dr. Jones through Sarah Gaines. So anyway, I was travel nurse, fed up. I remember just crying in the car, talking to God, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, something has to change.
Wow.
So anyway, prayed about it. He's like, you need to go on this trip to Mexico. I'm like, for real? Like, come on. So anyway, went on the trip. When I got there and we met, I was just like, I remember watching was it a webinar? So I remember watching your webinar on her page and I was like, I was a little interested then. I was like, okay. And then at that time, I was struggling with like cystic acne and stuff like that. And then I realized there was, aesthetics can help you with that too. So anyway, my process after that was just thinking like, wow, like, I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
you don't just have to stay in the hospital. Like, there are so many other revenues or avenues rather that you can take. And I just remember praying about it after I left, and it just kept like sitting heavy on my heart. And I was like, okay, I have to do this. And like, I don't care if I didn't have the money or whatever, like God was going to provide.
Yes.
So that was pretty much my process. And
if I'm not mistaken, you were in like the next cohort after that. I was
I
like,
signed up as soon as I got home.
you were in it. So here's the thing. I've been doing this so long, and even with this Nurse Boss Shift podcast and just, really trying to be the change that I wish to see, there's certain qualities that I would say those who are successful and who continue even in the presence of adversity, because I have yet to meet someone who just pushed through and didn't have any challenges. I feel like those challenges are the moments where you're shaped. And I feel like for you, I remember once you came into the boot camp, I felt like you were unrecognized. Like you had changed so much as far as growth. Like you were the go-to person. You were the subject matter expert. You were always in the community. You were always giving to your peers in the community. And I just felt like there was no way that you could not succeed because of, I'm just saying the law of reciprocity. Like if you're giving, it has to come back to you. And if you're a believer like I am, you guys, y'all know I believe in God. So he says tenfold, like you'll get it back when you give, right? And so I just saw that in you, but I also know that during your journey, you did experience challenges as well. And feeling intimidated and insecure and like all the things we go through. Talk about some of those emotions that because it's one thing, and this is what I tell people, even those who enter into my course or whether they work with Crystal and I in IV hydration or whatever, I'm like, as soon as you make the investment, all the fears, all the limiting beliefs, family start throwing it at you like, what, you spent that much? Oh my gosh. And like you have to deal with all of that. And to me, from a biblical perspective, I feel like that's when God, if you ask God for something, he's not going to give you what you ask for. He's going to give you the situations to turn you into the person to be able to receive what you ask for, which means there's going to be a lot of hardship, right? So disruption has to happen. So what was those times when you were just like, dude, I cannot do this? Because I know you, even in the group, you had I think you had a partner you were trying to get with, like you had so many things.
Pretty much my whole life. And I think that's another reason why you inspired me so much was I had not the best childhood and not the best upbringing and stuff. No, I mean, my parents were great. We just were really poor and stuff like that. So anyway, just hearing your story, I was very inspired. So, and then also with God, like I do a lot of my devotionals and read scripture and stuff like that. And he talks about like, quit worrying about what other people think. Nobody cares. It's what God thinks, and like, this is his journey and people aren't going to like it. It's going to be a challenge. And like, in order to get past that, you have to just keep your focus on God, which can be hard sometimes. Cause like you said, sometimes it's like, you don't get what you pray for. He just gives you the tools to get you where you want to go, basically. But yeah, I have dealt with a lot of challenges. I had a partner at one time, didn't work out.
I remember with that partner thing though, remember you came in, you was like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know about that, Alex.
There was so many red flags too. And I had prayed about it and God was like, no, you can do this on your own. It's going to be slower, whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to see for myself. So, and then that's what happened. So I got burned and, God did get me out of the mess because he already factors in your stupidity, right?
Yes,
so you can do whatever you want to do at the end of the day because we have free will. Like God loves us no matter what. But that, and then my dad had passed away like right when I first started my business.
Right. I remember that. He was on hospice, wasn't he? Yeah. I remember that. I feel like, I always say, you set the intention, disruption is going to happen. It's just a part of the process. Me being in the situation where as a mentor, I try to prepare my mentees as best I can, but nothing can prepare you for your dad passing away.
He wasn't even sick. So he found out, so this was, I guess, 2022 at this point, and I had been open for almost I was still figuring it out. I started with the teeth whitening. I just introduced IV hydration. So I was trying to focus on that. Well, then my dad got his diagnosis in November of pancreatic cancer. So he just went downhill super fast. December 18th, he passed away, but I was dealing with that. And my partner was just, I'm telling you, I'm just saying, don't do a partnership. I mean, pray about it, maybe think about it, but it's not always great. But Like my dad was literally dying and my partner made my life hell. Like it was terrible. Like I have so much, I feel like PTSD from that point. But my dad, he was a man of faith, and sorry, I get a little emotional, but
no, that's okay.
He was the only one that believed in me.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can't quit. Because I told him, I was like, Dad, I'm going to quit. I'm going to stay at home with you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, this is what God wants you to do. You have to keep going. It's hard. Like your partner's making your life hell, but you're going to get through it. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's okay, because I'm going to cry right with you. You already know. What I was going to point out, though, when you're going, a couple things, that's still divine. It still made you so much stronger.
It did,
and prepared you for moments that you probably don't even foresee, that even may be ahead of you now that you don't foresee, but you're so much stronger as a result of it. And I remember you saying in the mentorship that he was telling you, like, don't quit. He was pushing you and you were like, I have to do this for my dad.
And I kept doing it. Like I remember just wanting to give up so bad. And I was like, I can't. I don't want to let my dad down. So yeah, he pushed me a lot. So it was good. He was the only one that believed in me during the process.
Was he an entrepreneur, or did he?
No, he just, everything I did, he would always tell people how proud he was of me. Like, no matter what, I could literally, like, I don't know, pick up, like, trash or something. And he'd be like, oh my God, that's my daughter. I'm so proud of her. But he would always tell people I was a nurse. And you know how that is. I'm like, don't tell people, Dad. Okay. But yeah, he told everyone, and I was starting my business. He had the church pray over me. He had the pastor come and pray over my business and stuff like that.
So let's talk about the people you didn't have, that you say he was the only one in that moment who believed in you. So what did it feel like having everyone? And this is what I tell people. I give a lot of grace to like family, friends, partners, because I have learned over these years that when God has seeded something in you, nobody is going to get it. It's rare. You may have someone to support you to the best of their ability, but it still may not be the support you need. This is a lonely journey. You may have like your husband, your partner, whatever, but it's lonely because it's a gift that is divinely seated in you and nobody's going to get. So tell me, how did you go through a feeling like nobody is supporting me? Like, did you go through any type of resentment? I know you're married. So did you experience any type of like resentment, or were you upset with the people who you just knew would be your support system? Or how did you navigate that?
My whole life, pretty much, I really haven't had a great support system. So I've always been just me. Like I've always been that person to be looking out for me. So I will say my husband was very like, should you do it? Like we just went through COVID. Like I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's going to do well. Like I said, I don't really have family support. My friends, like when I talked to them, I was like, I'm going to start a business. They were like, oh, that's cool. Like whatever. They just like didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And I remember like kind of being afraid to share it because I'm like, well, then what if I fail? You know, then I'm going to look crazy, whatever. But really, I was upset at first, you know, just like, why don't these people believe in me? Why doesn't my husband believe in me? But after that, and just like leaning more on God and stuff, like you said, it's just something people don't understand because they're not gifted with that. So I was just like, well, it's always been me. It's always going to be me. So I have to believe in myself to where I'm a delusional. Like it's gonna work. It has to work. You know what I mean? So I've never been a quitter. I've always been very go, 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 like always goal oriented. Yeah.
And so when you started to kind of grow your business, what was your first experience, would you say, where you were like brought in that first, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, whatever? How did that feel?
Oh my gosh. I remember being so excited. And I always text or call my husband as soon as, like, even still to this day, I'm like, guess how much money I made, you know, like, and I remember, I think I made $1,000 in one day, and I was like beside myself. I was like, oh my God, you know, cause like at the hospital, a 12-hour shift is like $500, 12 hours of hell. And then I can be here for like 5 hours, and I just made that. Like, of course it's an all profit, you know, but, and then it just kept increasing. And then one day I would make like 3,000, and then it just kept going up. And then months were turning into like 20,000 and stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh.
So how does that feel?
It feels amazing. Like, actually, so I'm one of those people, I kind of told you earlier, like I kind of put blinders on and I just look forward. Like it's hard for me to really enjoy the moment. But I just talked to my CPA, and she showed me my profit and loss statement, and like from January
2024.
Yes, to June, I have made $90,000.
And then, let's tell little context to this. She's going on her second year. Her first year, did you break to the 6-figure in the first year? Yeah. She broke the 6-figure in her first year. Now we're 6 months in and you're already approaching 6 figures. Yeah. And that, my dear, is how you grow. And it's consistent growth, right? But not only is your revenue growing, you are growing as an individual. What is that like?
It's amazing because I look back and I'm like, I couldn't even imagine doing the things that I do now because I used to be an introverted person. That's why I didn't approach you because I'm scared. I'm like, I don't want to ask you these questions. Like, anyway, so now I'm like, I'll go up to anyone and I talk about my business and, just if it just comes up. I don't just go up to people and be like, hey, this is what I do. But I also support a lot of people. Like, I'm definitely very heavy on the community over competition. So collaboration over competition. I go to a lot of networking events. I get out there and meet people. And I never would have thought of doing that before my business. It's just amazing to grow as a person. And I've always put myself in uncomfortable positions. I went float pool. I was a travel nurse, did all the things. And now I'm just like, put myself in uncomfortable situations, just getting out there, getting to know people, stuff like that.
So you followed the minimum viable med spa framework to a T. You pretty much started small, solo practitioner, figuring out, which I strongly recommend because you bump in your head a lot, right? And your first location was that. And now you guys, we are in how many rooms is it? 5?
5 technically, yeah.
5-room location. She has a reception area. You guys can see the tour if you're following me on Sidepreneurs. But you are now in this. Did you ever think, or was this on your radar? Like, was it the plan? And you have assistant now.
Yes.
A medical
just
assistant
hired her in May.
who works with you. So what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, God is just providing. Like, that's literally all I can say is like just praying about it. And I remember I had my little first location. I was only doing teeth whitening, had one little room. I shared it with CPAs and it was just such a little awkward setup, but it worked. I started with mobile teeth whitenings.
Okay.
Then I got enough money and got my little room. Then I grew to 2 rooms. And then I was like, I don't want to share with these people anymore. So this suite came available. So I was like, let me go check it out. It was laid out better for like a spa type feeling. And I remember praying to God and I was like, I can't afford this. Like the rent that they had told me, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to afford it. And then God spoke to me and he's like, you can afford it. Take it. And ever since then, I've never had a problem like paying the rent or anything. And it's just like, it's just when I look back, I'm like, I was so scared and for what?
Yes. So Alex, let's talk about that too, because and this again is me looking back, hindsight being 2020. I realized even with me, like people say to me all the time, how are you doing this? How do you have a podcast? You have YouTube, you this, you that, you that. And I'm like, well, the first thing is I don't ask how. God is all up and through this, right? Because the minute I ask how, then I put the onus on me to figure it out versus believing that this is all divine. And that way I don't have to know the how. I just do my part and he's going to do his part. Exactly. Right. And I think a lot of people, especially like you just talked about, your lease here, a lot of people are moving based on where they are right now, where their pockets are right now. And you expect that to expand and grow. So tell me, when you saw whatever your lease is and you were like, how am I going to do that? What in the world made you still do it?
Girl, I was scared. I was like, okay, I'm just going to rely on God and I'm going to listen. I'm going to do what I've been doing. I'm going to keep showing up for myself, my clients. I've just been blessed with like, my books are full and busy and it's just like, I'm not doing it. Like when I back up and I stop worrying and I stop having anxiety, God comes in and he provides. Because I'll be anxious. Like sometimes my weeks will be pretty slow. I only have a couple people. And I'm like, God, how am I going to do this? And then I'm like, wait a minute, let me just step back, chill out. He's got it. And then boom, boom, boom. People are like booking.
I'm telling you, that's so funny. I was at one of my newbies, my like new mentees, her opening on Sunday. And I was they formed their own little mini med spa boot camp group. It's like 5 of them. They're so cute. They support each other. They go to everyone's opening. And one of them who was there, she said, Dr. Jones, I didn't know how I was going to do my opening. Like I had exhausted all my credit cards. I didn't have anything. And she said, I am not lying to you. I got a check in the mail for $11,800. And she was like, it was exactly what I needed. And come to find out, it was from a house house that she had sold. There was some extra money left over. She said, I had no idea. I said, that is how God works. You have to understand. But see, most people will stop before they get there. They could be like, that's why I can't stop, because I'm like, but what if tomorrow is the day? And then I gave up. So I can't stop. And I think what I'm hearing from you, we were talking a lot about God, is that we need to lean not into our own understanding through this, especially as entrepreneurs, because you are not going to have the answer, and you keep digging within you to figure it out, and that is the wrong place. I was reading one of my devotionals the other day, and it said you have to put yourself in a position where what you're asking for is so big that when you get it, it can only be God. Like, you know it's not you. Like, you have to give him the glory and give him the credit. And I think any believer, regardless of your faith, when you're stepping into this world, you gotta believe in a higher power, because you just, it has to be something. So my next question for you is about marketing. And now and you can tell me your thoughts, but here's where I am with this. Is coming from someone who spent over $6,000 on marketing agency, have ran over $50,000 in ads over the last 2 years. And I am just still the biggest fan of organic traffic. I've done Groupon, and they don't work. Now, some people will say it's just you don't know what to do. But here's what I found. With Groupon, those people are looking for deals. They usually have unrealistic expectations, and you lose.
They want like 50% of your stuff.
They want you. No. We gotta get it right. They want you to cut your price by 50%.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
And then they get 50% of that 50%.
I forgot about that.
So really, it's 25%.
Right.
And so the way they sell you is, oh well, you'll get this 25%, but you have to retain them as a client. Right. But those type of people are only looking for the next deal. So they're not going to come back to you. So how have you been able to have book calendar do you market? What's your way to get your clients?
Attention, aspiring entrepreneurs in the healthcare industry. Have you ever dreamt of starting your own successful IV hydration business? Well, your dream is about to become a reality. Imagine a business where you can make a difference in people's lives while building a thriving venture. We're excited to invite you to a free webinar that will unlock the secrets to launching a successful IV hydration business. Join us for an exclusive event where industry experts will share invaluable insight on the essential steps to launch your IV hydration business, building a 6-figure business from scratch, navigating the challenges in the healthcare entrepreneurship journey. But that's not all. Attendees of the webinar will get a sneak peek into our comprehensive IV Hydration On Demand course. Discover how this course has empowered others just like you to turn their passion into profit. Picture this: lifetime access to in-depth video trainings, business strategies, SOPs, and exclusive bonuses that can catapult your success.
Register now for our free webinar at https://apply.trueusavvy. That's truusavvy.com/training. Don't miss this opportunity to kickstart your journey to a rewarding and lucrative IV hydration business.
Well, I've never paid for any marketing at all. I have just organic growth, like word of mouth. Google reviews, I think I have 112.
Which is powerful. Google reviews will rank you to the top.
I think, just people having a good experience brings people in. Now I have tried it wasn't Groupon, but it was something local to Cincinnati. It's called Cincy Savers. So they basically, it's free for me to do, but they get half of my service costs, but they market you on the radio. They send flyers. They have 30,000 subscribers or something like that. Okay. So that's the only thing that I've done like that. But you're right. They don't return. Yeah. They're the clients you really don't want. They're just looking for a deal. And that's not what you want in aesthetics. You can't do that. Yeah. And then I would just say social media. So I was paying a person to do my graphics and stuff, and it was just not what I wanted, even though it was you write everything out for them. But it was too like generic. So I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So I cut that out. I do my own social media, and I'm learning, I'm struggling, but it's okay because we're learning and growing. It's fine. But a lot of Instagram, some from TikTok, use your free resources.
Yes.
So really
That's
heavy.
And I always say, like, if you don't, and this is, I truly believe this, marketing is really not the thing that you just want to outsource and not have any idea. I'm okay with outsourcing marketing, but you have to know your market. Because other than that, you're leaving it in their hands. And what I have seen from a lot of these marketing companies is they'll run these ads and just run up your money like it's monopoly money. And you don't have a lot of say so because you don't understand your marketing. Like,
and if you don't do follow-up, like it's on you to do follow-up.
That part too. And then you may not know how to sell. So if you don't have a sales background, you don't know how to market, and they tell you, oh, we guarantee we get you 30 clients. Well, that's not going to help me if I don't know how to close these 30 clients. That's not going to help me if they're not 30 qualified leads who actually have the resources to invest in these type of treatments. So I agree with you so much. And I feel like, and you can tell me what you think about this, but I really think it's because people they want it now. They want immediate instead of understanding that there's a learning that happens with the growth.
Yeah, I agree. You just have to be patient, really. And that's hard, of course, because everyone wants instant. But I would also say get out there and collaborate with other businesses in the area. I'm very big in the community. Like, I'm partnered with Stretch Lab, which is actually a national thing, but there's an owner with 4 here. So I market with them. We do a lot of events together. Orange Theory, I just hooked up with them, did an event at their studio. So I'll just like message people, like be like, hey, this is who I am. I think we would align. Do you want to do something together? And most of the times it's yes. But like, even if you get a no, who cares? Just go to the next one.
I love that. So I don't know if you guys caught it, but she just gave you a practical step to take to market your business. And I think a lot of people, social media has given us this pseudo sense of all you have to do is be on social media. It helps. Don't get me wrong. I love, I'm on Instagram, so I know, but nobody wants to collaborate and like send an email or make a phone call. Everybody wants to just post on Instagram and cross their fingers and hope the algorithm is in their favor versus getting out there and actually reaching out to ideal clients. I had gave a whole strategy on my Instagram channel one time, and I said, go on Eventbrite, find your market. What events are they having? Contact the coordinator and say, hey, can I come present on IV hydration? I think, these women entrepreneurs could really benefit from this, and do a free presentation, collect the leads. Like, that's how you start to develop relationships. But people think that it's supposed to be instantaneous. When you have to convert cold traffic, you have to work with them and like get to know them and nurture them before they're willing to give you money. And I think people miss that often.
And if you get like those relationships, so like I said, Stretch Lab, it's open to me to like Christ Hospital, which is a huge hospital downtown, reached out to me and asked if I would come to their wellness expo. Reach out to me. I'm like, who am I? Like, I got this email. I said, okay. And there was like over 500, maybe even more people there. So I got to showcase my business. It was free because I don't really go to like, this is funny, you're going to laugh, but I don't really pay to be anywhere. Like, I always kind of just have that option to go for free. And I will say, like, events, sometimes you think they're going to be a bust. Like Crunch Fitness reached out to me, another gym in the area, and they were like, hey, do you want to come set up? I'm like, sure. This is when I was like brand new, didn't have no branding. I'm just sitting there with a table and I'm looking crazy, right? So I gave a couple B12 shots. And then after that, someone that wasn't even there at the event saw it on their social media, came into me for Botox. And then her husband came in, her daughter comes in, like it just kept going from there. So even though it doesn't feel like it doing anything at the moment, yeah, it will eventually.
That's really proud because, again, long term, you are planting seed. You're not likely going to get the immediate reward in that moment, and you never know who's watching. We had email from like a large nursing association that's like, I don't want to misstate where they're from, but they saw our IV hydration training, Crystal and I, and they reached out to us, say, hey, can you come and present? And we're like, whoa, like, I've never had a call with them, nothing, but you just never know who's watching. So you just have to continue to show up.
If you don't show up and do what you're supposed to do, someone else can't show up. Like, if you weren't showing up doing what you're doing, I couldn't have done what I'm doing. So that's another thing. You also have to think not only about yourself, but like you need to show up so someone else can show up and do their thing, what they're called for.
That's right. And I always tell nurses that because I say, we don't know how to look out for ourselves. So if you put it on someone else, like somebody needs you, then they'll feel more inclined to actually show up because It's not just about you. Like it really is an ecosystem that we're creating, especially in our community, right? Have you gotten any type of like pushback as a nurse? Have anybody been like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
who do you think you are?
Doctors, they say like this is like IVs don't work. I'm like, we give them in the ER all the time. We give them to alcoholics, you know, like whatever. So they'll like, some of my clients come in, they're like, yeah, my doctor said it's like not really even worth it. I'm like, what? Like we literally do these in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I think just people that haven't thought of it first or like can't or like don't think they can do it. You know, I've had a lot of pushback from that, but like actually I've had really good relationships with people. It's just like some people that are probably jealous, I would say, you know?
Yeah, because they don't have the gall to do it or to show up. And
and they're miserable still. Because listen, I know how it is in the hospital or like primary care, whatever, like because it's insurance based. Like you're guided by insurance, your diagnosis has to go by insurance, the stupid surveys we get, what could you do better? Stuff like that. But like if you put yourself in a box and you don't see anything outside of that, of course this stuff is going to be like, oh, I can't believe they're doing that.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so now what's the plan for the ripple effect? Like what okay, first of all, she's celebrating her 2-year anniversary, you guys. And when is it?
Thursday.
That is so, and let's just talk about your first year you broke 6 figures. And I say this all the time and people think I'm joking. They don't think it's possible.
I didn't think it was possible. I look at my books, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. And now 6 months in, you're already approaching that already. So technically you are on track to double in your second year. What can you tell people? Like I can talk till I'm blue in the face. I feel like people don't hear me because they're like, oh, they find a reason why I can and they can't. What do you have to say to the people who are thinking about it, who have been like saying they wanted to do it, but who are scared? What advice would you give them?
Just do it. Quit being scared. Like you can't be scared. Like there is no room for fear. You know what I mean? You have to, like I said earlier, you got to believe in yourself so much. Like you're delusional, you know, like you have to believe in yourself and want it so bad. Like how you want to breathe, right? Like we need to breathe. So I don't put up with excuses because my whole life I've had challenges and stuff and I've overcome them. And it's like, you just have to do it. There is no excuse. Stop using them.
I feel like it takes a different person to be like that. You know that? I think seeing you, who a lot of people may be able to identify with, seeing me, people may be able to identify with, but they will still find something that will make you able to do it and they can't. And that's the sad part for me. But what I would say, and this is for anybody watching y'all, it's never going to be easy. You have to learn how to, in the presence of fear, still move forward. I think if you can acknowledge that it's going to exist and stop trying to wait for it to go away, but just move forward in the presence of it, life would look different.
And you don't have to show up 100% every single day. Like we would love to, yes, but there's some days I'm tired. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go in. But then I remember, I'm like, there is someone out there that can't get out of bed. Like that's what goes through my mind. And I was like, stop giving excuses, like whatever. It's your fault you didn't go to bed till 1 a.m. You know what I mean? So just things like that. I think about like people that can't do what I'm doing and that fuels me more too. And then of course my faith. But I still like now that I am successful, and I've pretty much always been successful, I don't consider failures like, I think you've talked about this in your class, like you don't actually fail unless you stop or give up, you know?
It's just a lesson.
I mean, I've been through a lot and like took a lot of L's too, but like we also get a lot of wins and learn from that. But yeah, you only fail if you stop. So.
You only fail if you stop. And then do you have a favorite book or like something that you do to help you kind of still in those low moments? What do you do? Do you read?
Yeah, I do a lot of reading. I definitely, when I feel like depressed or anxious, I always revert back to God. I always start praying. I start doing, devotionals and do that. I do that every single day. I pray every single day. I try to start my morning with God, and then that just helps me the rest of the day not feel as anxious. But I do like a couple books. The Mountain Is You. Actually, Sarah told me about that book, and it's about like procrastination, self-sabotage.
I have not read that book.
Oh, it's good. I've read it like 5 times.
The Mountain Is You.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Atomic Habits. That's pretty popular.
I read that one. Okay.
The one you recommended was Untethered Soul, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that one was good.
The
I listened
Untethered
to
Soul.
it on the audiobook.
Yeah.
And then I don't don't think I have the book, but I did listen to it twice now, and that really helped.
Good.
Yeah.
That one's good. You guys, I don't know if those who are watching, you guys listen to this podcast usually every week, and you should now be hearing the same themes that are coming through. Reading, mentorship, having a deeper why, connecting to that why. You now have your faith and dad who you think about when times get hard, and the experiences that you have had that you may look at it as a reason for you not to move forward is really the reason you should move forward. It's really prepared you for these tough moments. And I think people don't realize that resilience it's really built. And I find that the people who are successful are the ones who have been through the most.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, God, I asked for all this, but I don't want to go through it.
You've been through the most, and here you are. I mean, in this beautiful location. So I came in and I was like, is this all you? That's you, girl? Because it is just so nice, and it's definitely not what I expected, only because I knew you started small. I didn't know you had went this big.
Well, I'll piggyback on that. So you asked me what the plans were too. So like there's a storefront down the road, and God pretty much put it on me like, that's going to be your storefront, that exact one. So I went and prayed over it. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week or next year, but he said that's mine. So I don't know how, when, or what, or whatever, but that's like, he said that's mine.
And so do you see yourself hiring more people, another more bigger team? And
so I just started, well, I will start in August, my F&P program.
Right.
So,
okay, you're starting that.
Yes.
Right.
I will have to probably scale back a little bit just to focus on that. So I'm hoping to hire a nurse. So right now we have an MD, PA, medical assistant, myself, and then I'm hoping to hire another nurse just to do like the IVs and stuff and be here when I can't. So we'll see when that happens though.
How do you feel about going back to school?
I'm actually excited.
Is it a different, for me, I can tell you my answer, but I want to know for you. Does it feel like a different experience going back for your business?
Yes, because I know I don't have to be stuck in this box. And that's what I was trying to tell someone, because they're like, oh, I don't want to do, like, I'm just stopping. Because that was my thing too. Like, I thought I was going to be a travel nurse forever because we make good money, right? Like, the money does not mean anything when you are miserable. Like, you literally don't know what you're walking into. So much anxiety, PTSD, I could go on. Anyway, going for my business and being able to have the autonomy and helping people in a different way than sickness, like we're actually teaching wellness. And I mean, aesthetic treatments, no, they're not needed. They're not, I don't want to say needed. You know what I mean? They're not like,
medically required. You're
exactly.
not, fighting an illness. I mean, we're fighting the disease of aging. Though.
Right.
That's what I tell my
Yeah. But no, like the happiness, like I've had people cry in my chair after giving them filler, making them like look 20 years younger. I've had like teeth whitening, people that couldn't get stains off their teeth, and the dentist was like, well, you're just gonna have to live with it. And like they get the stains removed in an hour and then they cry, and I'm like, you're making me cry, like it's just such a beautiful thing to help someone with their confidence, because I've been there. That's another, I actually just told my husband this the other day because I had to deal with the cystic acne. I said, I think, God gave me that to show me, like to point me in this direction and be like, you struggle with this, so do other people. So you can help them with your story and everything like that. So anyway, it's just nice to help people in that regard. And but for the F&P, I never thought I would be going back for that. And then God lined everything up, right? So like money, getting accepted, all the stuff, because he just put it on me one day. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to school. But I am excited. I'm excited to learn more and be able to help more people in a different way. So because right now I'm a nurse, I have to go off standing orders and stuff like that, which is fine. But I would just like to be able to do everything myself.
Would you tell a nurse who is thinking about doing this to wait for their F&P, or would you recommend they?
I would just say go ahead and start. While you're a nurse. I had my ADN.
I
had my associate's degree. I just graduated with my bachelor's degree.
That's what I'm talking about. So, I wasn't an F&P either when I started. So that's why I can relate. I'm like, why wait? Get that. And then if you want to go back for sure. But why wait?
Yeah, and you don't have to, right? Like you can find, so like my PA's great. I actually met him doing market research at another IV place, and he was going to leave and do something else. I was like, hey, do you want to come work with me? And it just worked out, and he's helped me set up like, the rented room. He helped me set that up and stuff. And finding my doctor. I did all that organically. I really don't pay them that much. I do have a friend that uses like, what's it called? Is it Guardian or something? So she pays a lot of money for a medical director because like she didn't try to do it organically, which is kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. Cause like, you know, the dynamic with nurses and providers in the hospital, like it is just like not good. Right.
I always say either you got more time or you got more money. Exactly. And my thing is organically, it has its cons and pros, but I like organic because I feel like it gives you more flexibility and you're growing together, especially if you enter into a mentorship program because you're the expert. Like most likely your person doesn't know a lot about this. So but you've invested in yourself. So it's not a problem. So I agree. Well, listen, I flew all the way here to see you, Alex.
I know.
And I am
you.
so very proud of all that you have accomplished. And you guys who are watching this, I just want you guys to know that Alex is you. I am you, but Alex is also you. We started from, at least you had a mentor, but we started from like not knowing what to do, how to do it, but she's here. And she showed up in the presence of fear, and you guys can too. Any last words before we leave out?
I think you should get a mentor, Dr. Jones. I think you should definitely. I have a lot of people reach out to me about med spas and stuff like that. I always send them her way. So I would do it. Stop making excuses. If this is something you really want to do, you will do it. There will be challenges, but nothing's actually going to stop you. If this is for you, you'll just know. And I mean, some days are challenging, right? Like we wake up, like I said, we don't really want to show up. We don't want to do it. I still am like, am I an imposter? Like, why am I doing this?
Right.
You know, like, and then something will happen. Like I'll have a lady come in and she just tells me like, they just share stuff with you. Like one left her husband and she just wanted to get Botox to feel better about herself because he had beat her down to like, not physically, but like mentally, and was like, you're not pretty enough, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And she was like crying in here telling me that. And she just wanted to feel more confident. So anyway, all that to say, just do it. It's worth it. It's worth everything.
You guys, make sure if you have any nurse boss friends or aspiring nurse bosses, or even people in healthcare, as you guys know, the nurse boss shift really is about shifting the mindset of healthcare professionals. We are on all platforms. We are also on YouTube. So if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, make sure you subscribe to our new YouTube channel. Don't gatekeep, you guys. Share. People need to hear this story and relate to people who are just regular people like us, who are just showing up and breaking through barriers. So until next time, you guys, take care. Bye.
Bye.